and the Woolbright Road. And we're here, we're live, we're back, we're coming at you. The dishes are done, man. I'm Agnew, he's John, or something like that. And I was just discussing how when we're approaching the correct road on the turnpike, I always say, here's our exit. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. And I do the whole thing. And I've been
The
doing
whole
it since.
overture.
Yes, the whole. Whoever does that, I'm not sure. Maybe Zimmer. No, it's not Zimmer. It's somebody else. But anyway, now I also say, I go, and we're off when we're backing out of the driveway.
Yeah.
And now I go, and the girls both go, like looking at their iPads. We're off.
They're like, appease the man.
I'm like, yeah,
He
right.
gets us ice cream.
Right.
Appease him.
So I got an MRI last. I've had 2 MRIs in the past week.
Oh wow! Jeez.
And dude, there's so much to tell you, but ultimately it's like what we talked about over text is so weird and such a thing that like I don't think our dad's generation like even realized to like warn us about, where it's like what you were cool with when you were like a teenager, you might not even be able to handle now, and it's just a pure, for the most part, like mental thing.
Yeah.
Because I got an MRI when I was 15 and it was a breeze. I like enjoyed it. I just laid there and listened to Howard.
Is that what happened? I've never had an MRI, so like what they just give you like earbuds and you can? I thought like you can't have anything like metal and
they
stuff.
have like special headphones.
Magneto headphones.
I was like much like the glass bullets for
yeah, I mean that's how I picture it. I picture you walking across like a plastic bridge that's like collapsing behind you, you know, and like you're like in the middle of this completely plastic room.
Yeah, whatever that helmet is, I can't remember. Cerebro. So it's like a big tube, much like the cement tubes in St. Jude's playground when we went there.
Oh yeah, right.
So that's what it was like, and that's what I remember when I was 15. When I got an MRI on my knee, they move you in, and you have like, you know what it's like? It's like you're in a bunk bed. Like that's how much space there is. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not nuts. You have room, and it's loud. And when I was 15, it took an hour. So that's what I was expecting this time. I was like, all right, it's going to be an hour. I'm just going to lay there and hopefully fall asleep, because it was like 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, that coffee has worn off, and I'm like, I could probably fall asleep if I closed my eyes. Dude, they call me up and they're like, do you have any problems with claustrophobia? And I'm like, no. I've had 2 MRIs before. It's no big deal. I'm good. So they lay me down, and now this part I don't remember. There was like when you go to the dentist and you get your X-rays, there's like this blanket that goes on top of you, real heavy blanket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't remember that. And this is heavy, and it's like I'm kind of like hot right away. And then they lower me or start moving me in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's like this.
Oh.
It's like this. Like I can't even focus my eyes to like see the thing in front of me. It's
that's annoying. That's too much.
And I'm like,
I expect at least
God.
like one of those like 3D pictures to unfocus your eyes against, like just something for me to do.
Right.
While I'm in there.
Right. That's what the only thing I'd be able to see. So they put me in.
Is it because you're older now? Like you were 15 before, so were you just tinier in the tube? I mean, the tube has to, I would assume, have to fit larger people of greater mass, right? Like
yes.
Like big and tall, right? Like would have to be able to fit inside this thing to also work. So why did you get like a medium?
I know. Yeah, I got a medium, like a Toys R Us medium. And I was like, So that was like up to like here. And I was like, I didn't even think about that
You got the easy bake MRI.
because I guess, right. I guess like your head, I don't know.
Like it just
I don't
scans
know if someone had a
your
big
brain,
belly.
right? Like it's just scanning your brain.
My
Or is it
back.
your back. Okay.
Yeah. It's for like injuries.
I thought it was for like
Um,
brain stuff. I thought it was
that's like CT scan.
CT scans. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I just haven't
Or
watched
like,
enough medical shows to know this stuff. Um, no, that's
or had one.
or
So
had,
they, so
yeah.
they move me in to like here. And I'm like, all right, just close your eyes. And I start doing like the slow breathing because my heart's like already like racing. I'm like, shit. Like, no, I'm not liking any of this. And it's all like different from what I remember. And then they shove me all the way in. And dude, I'm like, I know, like, you know, that voice that's always right in your head. I'm like, I can't do this. There's no way I'm going to be able to just lay here and not budge. And
Did they not like comment at all in this moment? Like where you could be like, oh, this is smaller than I thought. Like in all the episodes of House, they seem to have like full conversations with the people, but then also tell them to lay still. They're like, do you have a history of mental illness in your family? No, I'm all right. Stop moving, please. And they
it's
just
like the
keep doing
dentist. It's like, so what's your favorite tongue twister? It's like, you have a needle in my
it.
face.
You're like, yeah.
Um,
How's this gonna work?
the guy said, like when I was like walking up to like the like bed, I guess I don't know what it's called, but like the part where you lay down on.
The
I was like
plateau.
walking the plateau. When I was walking the plank, when I was walking over to it, the guy was like, "So, what do you want to listen to?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Just like put on a podcast." And he's like, "We can't. We can only do music." I'm like, "Oh no." I was like, but again, I was like, all right, whatever. This is before they moved me in.
Yeah.
And I had like all these doubts. So I was just like, all right, yeah, whatever. Just put on like 90s. They put on 90s and like Coldplay starts. And I'm like, that's not,
They
we're
haven't
not off
moved
to a
the
good
scale. They're
start.
like,
We're
it's 20
not.
years ago. What do you want?
Right.
Like, that's what you meant. You're old. When you say 90s, you mean 2000s. They're like, it's like
I mean 20 years ago.
bombastic. Yeah, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
This is which one is this?
And so I was like, all right. And then, dude, out of nowhere, he goes, so what do you invest in? And I thought he was like referring to something in like a metaphorical way, not like literal.
He was getting
and I was
really
just,
deep with you. Yeah.
It's
like
about like music or something.
The answer was myself, right? That's where he was going with that.
That's what I thought he was kind of like, what do you invest in? You got to invest in yourself, get an MRI, like, make sure you're okay, like heal your back.
He's very pro MRI, this guy.
And I go, I'm
already here, man. You sold me on it. I'm here. You don't have to sell it anymore.
Right. I took all my expenses. I took my wallet out. You have my phone. I was like, so I was just kind of like, yeah. Right. And he goes, no, seriously, you look like a crypto guy. What do you invest in?
Oh, here we go.
Agnew.
Get him fired. Get him fired.
I have not told anyone this story because I've been waiting to say it on here because I wanted to gather it.
Crypto
and
bro.
Be like, that's such an insult because it's like.
You look like, I don't know what that means.
I'm like, I look like something. That's an insult. You could say I look like anything. Well, that's not true. But you look
like a garbage man.
I'm like, I don't even know what my mortgage is. So like, how do I look like a crypto guy? Help me.
What do you invest in? I don't know what my mortgage is, man.
I was like, my wife, and I always say this to like friends.
She does the bills.
My wife is Jewish. She handles the money. But I'm like, she has a master's in accounting. Like she just has other people that also help us with our money that I don't know.
Right.
It's like, it's way more than just like she handles the bills. I was like, my wife works in that like industry.
Yeah.
But dude, it took everything in me to be like, what do you mean I look like a crypto guy? Like, did you like his bedside manner not like a thing for MRI techs?
Look, I'll break it down. I'll break it down for you. This
I was like,
isn't
I'm
right.
white and
No,
tall
no,
and thin
no. I'm gonna.
and clean.
No, that's not even it.
I'm gay too.
No. Here's the parallel, right? Here's the parallel. Imagine somebody who smokes weed. Just try to imagine somebody who smokes weed. Just like really hard. Just hold that thought like in your head. And when they go around, they're kind of just
They're gonna try to
they're
avoid.
just scouting somebody else who also smokes weed, right? So then it's like, hey, you look like someone who, gets down, right? Like it sounds like it's pulled directly from that whole genre of
That world,
pulling
yeah.
people into your community, right? So
Right.
when they say like, hey, like like crypto, and like when you're in crypto, like when you're actually in it, like it's identical to being like knowing everything about the WWF or something like that, right? Like it's like the stories, you follow like the downfalls.
Oh,
Everybody
right.
has
It
an
is like its own little
opinion.
drama.
Yeah, because you can pick like your own ones that you follow and ones that you hate and ones that screwed you over and ones that you won really big on. It's just kind of like you've got a lot to say about it. So if you talk to like somebody else with it, um you know you're just
So he
trying
was
to
like
you're
opening up
trying
a
to find it.
dialogue.
He was just because it's a win-win
He
situation,
was,
because if you're not in it, if you are in it, then he's got a lot to talk to you about. If you're not in it, he also has a lot to talk to you about, because he's going to explain the whole thing, because he's got you trapped in his tube for quite a while, and he can just unload, and you can just all you can do is flex your toes at him, right? So it's like he's got you, right?
and
And
I must have, just because I have just a natural, I am skilled. I could teach classes on how to just deflect and get away
yeah,
and spin move.
but in a
Uh,
tube, you're kind of
but I must have felt that he was like wanting to get into that. And I immediately was like, my wife handles all the money. Like I threw that in his face too. Like,
right.
don't even start. Like, I don't even, I have dyscalculia. I won't even keep track of what you're telling me.
Yeah, right. That would disillusion him pretty quickly.
I mean, it did.
That would
He
that, that
shut
that's
up.
like that's like saying like I have asthma. It's like, do you smoke pot? It's like I have asthma. They're like, oh,
Right. And then I'm like, well, shit.
can't.
Well, never mind then.
Do you have any
Uh,
friends?
so that shut him up. And he put me in. The Coldplay song ends. The next one is Foo Fighters, Best of You,
Is
which
he listening
again,
too?
I'm
Like,
like,
does he know what's playing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure because he sees it on the thing,
Right.
on the computer. Like he searched YouTube 90s hits. And so then it was Foo Fighters Best of You.
Wait,
And
so we can
again, I'm
search
like, I
YouTube.
think that was
Wait. Hold
2000.
on. Why can't he pull up a podcast for you then? If he's on YouTube, can't? Is that just policy?
I,
Is that what he
I
was
know I
saying?
was so close to being like, just put on my podcast. I will just listen to myself.
You
He
probably would have
said,
made it through. You probably would have made it perfectly through.
I
if he
know I
just-
would have. I
yeah.
know I would have. The music was such a mistake because I don't care about music. Annoys me now. I don't know why. I'm
No,
in that
it's
weird
because
stage.
you're older. I know. That's like
Yeah,
a weird
I'm like,
thing.
I've heard everything, and I don't care.
Yeah. I
It's
think
like it has to be like a random moment that catches me.
it's
Otherwise,
like,
I don't.
well, it's like making new friends. You're like, no, I just like my old friends. I just want to keep my old friends. Don't make me make new friends. Like, I don't want to start a new relationship with music and then have to follow it and then have to turn out it sucks, or that nobody likes it, and then I have to sit there and listen to Buble like all day long by myself because he's horrible, and I have to be the only one who likes him, right?
No, because I'm just like, I don't get like pumped up for it anymore. But no,
Yeah.
you know what it is, dude? Here's the truth about music. It so emotionally affects me that I just can't like get into it
Yeah.
right now. Like the kids and Heather have my emotions like held hostage. So like movies are the only thing that I really, and it's like a little tiny window of my like month.
Right.
It's like, and music, it just, even if I'm daydreaming, not even listening, it'll affect my mood. And sometimes for like a period of time where I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, why am I pissed?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, the song is miserable.
You're listening to something from like '99, and you're like, oh, like I
Yeah,
just need to.
Enya,
The no,
Enigma.
I know what you're saying because the kids just watched the third Trolls movie, and it was like all about like boy bands and stuff like that,
Ah,
and so they started like they picked, it was a horrible selection in that movie. I don't know if they didn't get the rights to half the stuff, but
oh
basically,
no.
not to spoiler alert, like NSYNC shows up at the end, even though I kind of thought it was NSYNC the whole time, but then NSYNC shows up at the end,
I assume
and
they did.
it really doesn't even make sense because they just like show up and he's like, oh, here's my like old band I was with, and they one of the the bearded NSYNC guy, like who was I guess the oldest or something, I don't know, or
Fatone,
sporty, he was
Joey
sporty.
Fatone.
Yeah. No,
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 he's
no, no,
scary.
no,
He
no,
was
no,
fat one.
not Joey. Because Joey was baby faced, or like he wasn't the baby, but he was baby faced. Like he didn't have a beard
Oh, I know
until
who you're
later.
talking about.
But the Sporty Spice one,
He was Sporty Spice,
right?
almost like a skeleton.
Yeah, yeah. He had a beard, and so as a troll, he has a beard in it, and it's not like a Papa Smurf beard. It's just like a stubble beard. It looks really weird on the troll, and I just wish they
Oh,
hadn't done it. Like I know that's his only identifying mark. Like give him the goggles or whatever, but they shouldn't have done the beard. Anyway, so they introduced that, and I was like, there's lots of other
the goggles.
yeah, they name all the boy bands. They were like 98 Degrees and like Backstreet Boys and all this stuff. So they go through they list them out, and the kids obviously don't get the joke.
New
It's for the
kids.
parents because the new we thought we were the new kids on the block, but we found out that we were like 98. There were 98 degrees of separation between us and the Backstreets or something. Like so they kind of had this long paragraph of naming boy bands.
Snoop Dogg was taking a poop, and they were like, "Can you do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, hold on, I'll do it."
Yeah, hold on. So anyway, so I introduced the kids to like some of the NSYNC albums like that. I'm like, listen to like the actual albums because some of them are pretty well rounded. I mean, it's horrible lyrics, but it's like
Oh yeah, you're
there's
not
still
looking
so much
for.
fun. It's like it's
Yeah, you're not
just
looking for
raw sugar. Right?
stairway.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
right. Yeah, it's raw sugar.
it's just like you didn't even make it into a chocolate bar. It's just you're just drinking sugar.
Yeah,
Like you
right.
didn't even
Yeah.
like you're this far away from a pixie stick, but you're just like shoveling in spoonfuls. And so like I was playing it for them, but I was finding that like a lot of the songs were like around high school, right? So a lot of the songs that were playing, I was like, like why do I feel like sick, or like why do I feel like I'm driving around in like
Oh
a
my
Celica or
god,
something like right now,
dude.
like you could like I could almost smell your car and like or like sense the dash. Like I was having these like weird flashbacks as
Yes.
I was driving around with them, and I'm like, but like I have to pull myself back into the present. Like it felt like I was kind of like stretching myself out, like I was in both places at
Yes.
once.
Yes. Holy shit, man.
Okay.
It's so true because we were big music guys in high school and college, to the point where it was like, I mean, we would make a playlist for like a ride to like the Phillies game, like
Well, we
an
were,
hour long drive.
but think about this. We were like the last generation. Like
Oh yeah,
we were we were the only generation that burned CDs.
I know.
We were like the
What
last
does that
one.
mean?
Like you can go on
We're the only
Apple
ones.
Music and make a playlist of 1,000 songs, but we had to pick like 16 to 18, unless you put
Yes.
Hurricane on there, and then you only got 7, right? Like, you know,
A stairway.
you only had so many minutes to
Or
put on the CD, right? Like 80
November
minutes,
Rain.
right? Yeah, November Rain. You were like screwed. You're like, all right, well, I guess this is over. But you used to burn them all, and then like you had to give a lot of thought to it, and like how it was basically like a mixtape, but it was. I feel like it was more special than a mixtape a little bit, just because you were so limited by it, you know, and also I don't know how much today. Maybe it still happens, but I don't. I always felt like, remember how you used to like skip through the radio, like if you were pissed or something like that, you would skip through the radio to kind of like answer a question. Like you would hit seek on the radio and be like, oh, I'm so pissed, like, give me a sign, and then like Aerosmith would come on or something like
Oh
that, and
yeah,
you'd be like,
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
I'm mad now, like I'm mad and he's mad. I should be mad, you know. Like you kind of used it as like a magic 8 ball to like figure out how you're supposed to feel
Or
about
sometimes you would get like, you're like, oh come on, and then
it.
it's like rain, and you have to. And you're like, it is. It's all
Yeah.
ironic.
Or for the most part, like Titanic was playing like
Oh
98% of the time. So you'd be like, I'm mad. I shouldn't listen to this, but I'm going to for
I
the
can't
millionth
stop.
time. And then you're
I
just
need to hear
hanging
the
out of the
flute
sunroof. You're like, you're here.
crashing.
Yeah, you're just smashing through things. Uh,
How did
so
he die?
simple. How did he die? She should have
So
made
yeah, I think that's a main reason why I am like super anal about like what music I allow
Yeah.
in
Well,
my
it's tough with the
presence.
kids too. You can't just like you
Oh
can't throw
God.
Chronic in there, right? Like, I mean, it's like you'd be like skip, 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 skip. You couldn't like live bleep it, but
I get like as close to that as I can. Like I'll play like I'll be missing you. I play Coolio. No, I play actually Weird Al. A lot of Weird Al. Hannah loves Weird
oh
Al.
yeah, Weird Al's a
She
good one. I
like
didn't even think about that.
she's the person who will know Weird Al songs before the original
Before
artist.
the oh yeah, that's right. That would be my greatest fear actually in that situation.
She knows my butt is wide. Your butt is wide. Mine is too. I'm fat. I'm fat. You know.
Oh my
It's
god.
great.
I
Just eat
think
it.
I was trying to think. I think one of the only times that happened to me was the Godzilla soundtrack. Like I hadn't heard Casimir yet,
Oh
and I remember
yeah.
I played that for my dad. I was like, Dad, listen to this song. It's like da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na. It was the come with me, right? And my dad's just like, it's Casimir. And I'm like, no, Dad, this is
You're like, no,
Puff
it's Puff
Daddy.
Daddy.
You don't even know, you know. And
You're not a dad.
I still remember the conversation. He's like, no, this is Casimir. I'm like, this came out like
He's
20
like,
years
I
ago.
was alive before you
He's
were.
like, I have it on an album right now, like in the other room. I could play it for you. You could hear it, and that version's much better. And I was like, no, listen to this bass. It's Godzilla. You know.
It is weird because it is. It's one of those things where when I got into the Stones and I was like, oh wow, the old heads are right about one thing. Their music is better. I don't know why, but I can just tell there's like more to it. And then that Puff Daddy version is like the guitar that it is like it rages me more than like the ring 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 that like Led Zeppelin does. It sounds like a little
Yeah, that's true. I
weaker.
mean,
I don't know why, but I love both. It's like a toss up.
no, it's more. I mean, it's more
Close.
just only the riff. It's like
Yeah,
it's
right.
all the sugar, right?
Yeah,
Like
right. Yeah.
it's like here, and then he's just like, and it didn't. I mean, I'm sure the music video helped
But
too, where he's just like, yeah, he's just like punching the screen the whole time,
yeah,
just
right.
stomping in fake rain, you know.
The corn right in like leather, wet bodysuits. Who are you talking to?
Being too expressive, yanked it out of my ear. But yeah, I mean, so they really like the in sync songs and stuff like that. Lots of questions about how things are titled. They're like, what does no strings attached mean? And then I go into my long rants of explaining things. Yeah.
It's a double entendre.
I know, but you have to explain both entendres. You can't
really?
yeah, like they have to understand, like they're like, what does no strings attached mean? I'm like, oh, well, they're puppets on it. They're like, I don't get it. I'm like, well, puppets have strings. They're like, but why is it no strings attached then if they're puppets? I was like, okay.
Did you explain that like it's like no strings attached, like no commitment,
Well,
or was it like they're off their strings and they're free? Like there are no strings on me.
right again, but
I
you'd
have
have
no
to
strings, and now
like,
I'm free. There are no strings on me. Such a creepy cartoon.
but it's like, well, I think Ultron made it a bit more creepy. At the time, it was just like he
Totally.
was just like, I have no strings on me, but then I have no strings to hold it on.
But it is still a creepy movie.
It is. No, it's definitely. It's definitely crazy. I like it. I like
Really
that movie.
good. It's like really good.
It's like
Stop treating it like a kid's story, though.
well, I showed it to the kids and they got like they got scared at like odd points for odd
The wolf
reasons.
guy or whatever his name is,
No, they thought
Pimp
those
Jack or
they thought
something.
those guys were fine. It
Oh,
was it
okay.
was a fox, right? He was a
Oh,
fox,
Fox, right? Yeah,
and
right.
I
Fox
forget
Wolf.
I forget what his
Golden.
sidekick was. Well, it was supposed to be like a sly fox tricking him or something like that,
Oh,
right?
right,
So,
right.
and then it was but like when he's
Sure.
actually doing the wrong things, like the kids got more worried that he was going to get like in trouble for doing the wrong things, like for being there and stuff. And
Hannah didn't like his nose.
oh, when his nose grew into like a
Yeah,
tree and stuff.
she
Yeah,
would get scared and be like, "Turn it off." And I was like, "No, Jiminy Cricket's gonna talk him back off the cliff."
he's gonna fix it.
Jiminy
And
Cricket's
the
such a
whale was pretty
great
creepy.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whale's scary too. We were watching, dude, like something that is not scary at all. And like Hannah is so, God, dude, she's just such a good kid that like even like when it's like, oh, Barbie, when like Ken and they're like arguing, like I'll beat you off, and I'm gonna go to whatever it is, and he runs, the beginning of the movie. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, this can't be the whole thing.
Yeah.
He runs into the pool and like bounces off the wave.
Yeah, and he
She
does
like
like
got
the triple flip.
she got like worried and was like, Dad, I don't want to watch this. It's scary.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so goofy.
No, that's the part that they get freaked out by. Like they don't want to
Dude,
handle the like that's
the
intense for some
crossover.
reason. Yeah. It's like it's
Yeah.
too much. Um yeah, we've been trying them out. I've been trying them out on like some of like the older movies. Like we were gonna watch Beethoven. But like it's so weird rewatching some movies like as an adult. And I think we talked about this before, like with Mrs. Doubtfire and stuff like that. Like how you watch, like some movies you watch, it's almost like a book. Like if you watch it at different points in your life, you get different perspectives
Oh
on it.
yeah, totally. Oh wow.
And I remembered watching like Harry and the Hendersons like when I was younger, and so Kelly and I watched it the other night.
Lithgow.
This movie is so full of guns. Like you forget that he's a hunter. Like Lithgow's character is a hunter, which makes
Oh yeah,
like
the deer.
the parallel. Like he's got all the heads hanging up in his house and stuff, and then he
Remember, he's looking
works at
for
a
the oil.
hunting shop. And so then when Harry gets loose, like everybody in the town comes and gets guns. So everybody's like running around with like AKs and like and they're all just like unloading it in the city. And then the cops are running out like as SWAT teams, like arresting people with guns. Like it was like I'm like, what is happening? Like
Don't remember
all
any of that.
all I remember is him like enjoying some celery. Like I remember him smiling, him being stinky, like sitting on things,
Yeah.
like breaking the house. Like I remember all of that. But
Yeah.
then I don't remember this whole other section where there's just this all out
No.
manhunt and everybody has guns. And I'm like, there are so many guns in this. Like, I feel like there's more guns in this than Robocop, right? Like, at least
Oh
the
my
regular
god.
version of Robocop. Like, I'm like, and
The
then
highest code.
I also remembered, it's like, oh yeah, I also watched Robocop, right? So I don't know. I think I'm all right. I think
Dude,
I
I
came out
mean,
okay.
it's funny because I watched Jaws like as far back as I can remember, and Terminator 2. Like
Oh man, that was a
I was
great
like
movie to watch.
11. Oh,
But Terminator
one of
2
the best
especially
still.
is you're just the kid. Like you're nothing else in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just the kid with like a best friend robot. Like that was the key amazing part of that movie. It was just like
Yeah. You're right.
it was a buddy movie. It was like
Yeah, it
a
was like a
kid
buddy
with his
cop
toy.
sort of
Just extreme violence around all of that.
sci-fi.
Just people melting on on fences and things like that's no kids are paying attention to that part. They just want to
When
teach them not to
she's
kill.
when she's running in the like mental hospital, the
Oh my gosh.
T-1000 is like chasing her,
Yeah.
and she's like, she thinks she's kind of like getting away, and then Terminator comes through the door, and she still thinks that he's like, the evil one.
And
she
everything slows down. Yeah.
And he gets down or duck.
Yeah.
That scene is so great.
Oh my gosh. That it's such a...
The roses, he pulls the thing up.
Yeah.
Boom! And a huge hole.
And she's still not sure, oh my gosh. But it's such a dream sequence too. She's
yes,
in a mental ward, and now also their doctor and everybody is seeing everything that she's been saying, playing out in front of them. So it's just so dynamic.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All this crazy shit she's been rambling on about is real.
Yeah. They're you're worried robots are coming back from the future trying to kill you, and then all of a sudden it's
right.
They just start blowing each other away.
Save us. And then all of a sudden a guy gets a finger needle through the eye.
Oh. Such a, yeah. Oh, but through the cup of coffee. Such a mean way. That guy, you could have just choked him. But instead he just had to go right through the cup of coffee, through his mouth. Ow.
It's so good.
Your foster parents are dead.
Your foster parents
are dead? How's Wolfie?
Yeah, I forget, there's a scene where, he should have done the voice thing before. He does the voice thing, and then, there's another time where he should have done it. He should have done it again, and he didn't.
Yeah.
But, I have a question for you.
Oh, I was gonna say real quick though.
It's so random.
Hold on to it. You got it.
Mm-hmm. I won't forget. It's been staring at me on the computer.
Last episode, I talked about Reacher. I don't know if I mentioned this in it, but in the very first scene, the T-1000 is the main bad guy in it, but he's old and fat now.
Peacemaker.
Yeah, but in the very first episode, somebody makes a John Connor reference to him, and he actually says he's I'm not this isn't a Sarah Connor situation or something like that. I just need to find this Reacher guy, and I was whoa, what
weird?
What world are we in that you're allowed to say Sarah Connor? And they were referencing Terminator, they referenced Terminator to him in the show, and I was just I don't know how I feel about this.
It's when Iron Man calls Thor Lebowski, and it's Lebowski starring Jeff Bridges. Yeah, Jeff Bridges, who is whatever his name is in Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
God damn it! There's too many stars in these Marvel movies. They're in everything else. Yeah, that's always weird. That's weird that they're mentioning Terminator.
Well, especially this, because it wasn't a joke. It was a serious reference in the midst of it, and it was the first episode. So for me, it just kind of broke. I'm all right, is this what's happening for this season?
Right, some writers trying to be cute, and they're being.
It was weird to have it in the he actually said Sarah Connor, or John Connor, or something like that. He actually says it. I think that's the part that broke me. If he had walked by, in Terminator 2, when he walks by the mannequin that you've never seen in a department store ever, that's all made of metal, and he looks at it and he's I don't know if he was turned on by it or what he was thinking in that moment, but he stops his pursuit to
right.
Check it out.
Wasn't it did look like him, it looked like a shiny
it's a shiny mannequin, and he was
it's they're not a thing.
I almost feel he should have just had that scene again or something like that.
Right.
Or looked at a picture of Arnold or something and been if you want to do it quietly. Do it as a wink, not do as an exact part of the dialogue that somebody is referencing a movie that this guy is definitely in and has one of the most distinct faces that you can, he's only the T-1000. It's so hard to break your mind. You see him in another one, you're oh.
T-1000. I see him and I'm I'm glad he's still getting getting work,
sure.
Because he's so iconic. One of the greatest iconic villains and in one of the greatest game-changing movies ever. And it's how's he going to play anything else?
Best sprinting form ever too. Just the...
Have you seen this boy? He even did it in Wayne's World.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. That was so fun.
Wayne's World 2 or 1, I can't remember.
I think it was one because I think it was when they kept doing the different endings.
Oh, right.
Right. I think that was,
Right. The
and then
when
the
he's
proctology when he
stopping the
like
wedding.
walks in. Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. It's like lightning. That was good.
Yeah.
What was your, like, I'm going to say from like age 12 down, and this is so random, but your number one like Christmas present that like when you think, when I say what was your favorite Christmas present as a kid, the first thing pops in your head.
The best or the worst?
Like your favorite. Well, both.
Oh my
Your
god.
favorite and your least favorite. The one where you're like, why did I get this? You could have gotten me whatever else.
I mean, it probably had to be Voltron. It was probably Voltron. Like,
Wow.
and
You had
and
the metal one?
yeah, it was like a
It was
full
a shit
like
plastic one that came out.
lion bot. No, this was like full fall on you, cut you, rip your
God.
cuticles out. Like it was the
It
full
was like
thing.
it was like the closest thing between a toy and like a tool that like a boy like because we
When
wanted to play with our dad's tools.
yeah, when it's together, it's like it's
It's like
maybe like
over 2 feet.
10. It's probably like 10 pounds. Like it's got to be. It's solid, you know. Um, Later on in college, I ended up buying one, and it's a joke in my family that my mom threw it out. I don't know whatever happened to it. It's not like I like. This is a funny thing with the kids because I always think about this. That I'm like, oh, I still wish I had some of the toys I had when I was younger. Like I don't want to play with them actively, right?
No.
But after I got to like college, it was kind of like an Andy Toy Story moment where it's like, I kind of just want to put them up on a shelf. Like these were like the toys that I really enjoyed. And yeah, exactly. Right. So, but it's like I wanted to hold on to them. And so like then when I got to college, I ended up buying one on eBay, which was probably a smart move because I think they
Ah.
skyrocketed in price anyway. But so I have a Voltron, and I still had the Red Lion. Like I still had that somehow randomly. So I swapped out. I still have my Red Lion, and
Oh.
then I
Cool.
gave them to Leo to play with, and he plays with them all the time. So yeah, so he's got the full Voltron. And it's just so much fun to watch him
Wow.
like be like this leg is so hard to get on, and I'm like, yeah, it sucks. Like,
Yeah,
welcome to
like
toys from the '80s.
right, right.
It'll
They were
fall
all
on
made
you.
by hand.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen like the whole thing like put together in person.
Oh,
It
I
was
can bring
always
it
like
next time. Yeah.
missing something, or I like never knew you had it, or like you know,
I mean, I didn't
it
have
was
it
always like
out. I
scattered,
got
and
it
you
when I
were
was like
on
5.
some other mission.
I got it when I was like 5. I definitely lost all the accessories. Like I think there was a sword that's probably worth like the sword is probably worth as much as like the entire thing, like all 5 lions, because the sword and the shield that came with it, like everybody lost. So that would be pretty good.
Oh,
But nowadays you could just print it on a 3D printer, so it's like just get the file and print it,
you got the 3D printer
spray paint it silver, and throw it in its hand. So
and the
um,
goo.
yeah, but it's pretty fun. It doesn't like stand up perfectly. I broke it at one point. Like I broke the tail off the green line because I had it up in my apartment, and it just like did a header one
That's what
night,
I.
and it was just like and then like the whole
Uh,
arm broke off. But
gravity, like the Earth, like
it
just
was so heavy. It was
was
just like
moving or something. It was like, gravity's taking me.
yeah.
Ah! I yeah, that was what it always was. Like I remember my cousin had one, or a couple friends had them, but there was always like pieces missing or parts broken. It was like never fully assembled. And I don't
Yeah.
remember even the cartoon. I don't think I watched it.
We
I think
started
I watched
watching
like
it.
everything else.
Yeah, we watched it with the kids because he would play with the toy, but he didn't know the cartoon at all, which is like the exact opposite of what Voltron was for. And so we were like, all right, we'll watch a few of them. So he's watched like part of the first season's like 100 episodes or something. It's some ridiculous thing. Like they don't even get
That's
in
amazing.
Voltron until like episode 8. Like it's
Okay.
like the worst animation. It's like just headache city. Because it like it's so low budget, it's just like,
I can't
oh,
even imagine.
Voltron, what's going on? Like the mouths barely move. It's like 15, every shot's like 20 seconds of a head. it's rough. And then but then when they get to like the transition, like you could tell they spent time on the forming Voltron sequence, like that's all like full anime.
Right, that's all the
Everything's like
money.
exciting, and then you go back to the normal episode and you're like, we're back.
Oh wow.
But it was very
Yeah.
basic. It wasn't like I enjoyed the Netflix one. That was pretty fun. A lot of people hated it, but I thought it was pretty. It
Oh
had some
really?
weird. It had some other messaging in it and stuff like that. Like like a sprinkle of woke in it, but all in all, I kind of enjoyed it. I liked the concept of it, and I think they did it. They did like a continuation of the story, so I thought that was kind of cool. Like instead of
Oh,
the
that's
bad guy,
cool.
it was like the bad guy's son, and there was like all this like there was like light energy and dark energy, and it was like the guy who made Voltron was like friends with the dad, but then the dad like was like one of his buddies, and they actually flew Voltron together. But then he like
Whoa.
got corrupted by being in the zone where they got the ore for the lions like too long, and then he just got
Okay.
completely corrupted, and so then he wanted Voltron all to himself or something, and created a
Ooh.
galactic empire and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, right. I was just gonna say, and then his son came and redeemed him.
But there were some good like emotional parts to it. I thought they did a good job. It was pretty. There's several Voltron shows, but that one was, I forget what that one was named, but they made other ones where different. There was one that was like a 3D animation like reboot, and they did it where any of the lions could be like the head lion, which I thought was kind of interesting. So like the red lion could be like the main one somehow,
Who's supposed to be the main one?
the black one. So like it
Ooh,
was like the black one, and then
inclusive.
and then the
How
red one.
woke.
It was like way ahead of its time.
I
And
know.
then the red
Most of
and
that
green were
shit
the
was.
arms, and the yellow and the blue were the legs. I never knew exactly what order. Like there's no like L and R on any of them, so you're never really sure if you set it up perfectly correct. I think even the cartoon didn't get it right half the time, to be fair.
I
Like
see.
some scenes it
See.
would swing, and it's like that was green when he started to swing, and it was like red when it hit him. So
They ran out of green.
I always assumed red was on the right one for R, but that was as far as I made it. And yellow was
Lavender
was
for
L.
left.
Yeah.
The only reason I ask is because for some reason, I guess I was trying to like. Someone asked me before. I don't know, but my favorite present of all time, I'll never forget, was the championship belt, the WWF at the
Oh,
time.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Championship belt. It had like Warrior on the cover because he was champ at the time, even though I hated him. And I just wanted the belt so bad. I thought it was like the coolest thing about wrestling. It was like you get to wear this gold thing and bring it down to the. I don't know why. I just thought it was so cool. And the
And
fact
this
that
is
they made
before they were
one,
like the full replica ones, like where they're like
there was
huge.
none of that.
This was just foam and
It was
plastic, right? Yeah,
plastic, a
right.
sticker, and a
Yeah.
weak foam strap
Like
that would
Velcro that was
go that would rip.
like this.
Yeah, it was
It was like
so. It was very gay. But I knew that I could kind of like make it better
yeah.
and like put tape on it, but I just remember that Christmas morning coming down, opening all the presents, not getting it, and being like,
Oh no.
there's a chance I can get it at my grandmom's house because I get a present from each aunt there.
Oh, I love doing the kid math where you're like, there's still a chance. Like
Yeah,
I'm
there's
not
still
out yet.
hope.
Like
But
there's
like,
still.
goddamn, why didn't you let me have it here? Because I want to play with it. They just knew I would like disappear. And then I was at my grandmom's, and I remember like knowing what the box shape was
Yeah.
and seeing it and being like, if that's not it, I'm going to cry. And I remember ripping it, and the first thing I saw was the Warrior's face. And even though I hate him, I was so happy to see him because then I kept peeling and I saw the blue globe that's in the middle of the belt.
Yeah.
And my parents were both like watching me, like they knew that I was like, this is the only thing I asked for.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
and
gosh.
I just loved it. And it was like I kept that thing for so long until it like
I remember you had
deteriorated.
it
We
like,
used it in CWO.
yeah, I think you had it hung up in your dorm room. I think
I did.
like
I
in the
have the
background. Yeah,
Intercontinental one.
yeah.
That one was crappy. I like the ones that I made later on, the like HVW one
Oh,
and
those were
the
so great.
CWO one,
Yeah,
because I was like, oh, I can make, and these are easy to make. It's
yeah.
cardboard.
And you nowadays you can get like the duct tape of every color. Like I remember Giovanni and I made the DX one because we were going to the one match I think we all went to, right? And then we spent like the week before making like two belts, and we made like a really cool like neon green and black DX belt and
Oh, yeah,
like
you showed me
all that
that.
stuff. Yeah, it was awesome. And we used to make it, and then like when we'd hang out, we'd play wrestling, and then whoever like won the Royal Rumble or whatever would take the belt home. I'm like, all right, like you got to take the belt home. You got to take good care of it. Like don't let your brothers and sisters like rip it
Right,
up, you know. So it was
right.
like a bit of a responsibility lesson, you
Yes,
know.
kayfabe. That was like a real. That happens in real life. The champ does like have to take care of it.
Oh yeah, that was I didn't learn that until later in life, but yeah,
They
like
don't
they
like
have to like
leave
get
it
insurance
any.
for it and stuff. It's like their responsibility. It's just
So,
McMahon not paying money. It's just like McMahon,
oh,
like, all right, it's yours. If you lose it, you have to buy me a new one. It's like, how is this a prize? Like,
so Saturday night, Heather and I watched. Oh, we're watching that show, Masters of the Air on Apple, starring Austin Butler and Barry Keoghan, and I think like Spielberg and Hanks produced it. I mean, I know Hanks did. I think it's still connected to their like band of brothers and the Pacific. It's like loosely connected to World War II.
it's like a war movie. Okay. Or a
Yeah,
show.
it's like a show. Yeah, and it's like the pilots that are like it's like two. It starts like 2 years before we drop the bomb.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Slow moving. Austin
Yeah.
Butler is like Elvis, and it's weird.
Okay.
I was like so ready for him. I was like, no, there's no way. But he's like, he talks like this. Sometimes it's like, I could be less cool. You know what I mean. Like he's so cool. Like just
Yeah.
nothing bothers me. Nothing, and it's like, uh, get pissed off. But anyway,
Get pissed off. Be a
anyway,
human.
when that episode ended, that was like 10 o'clock, and I look on like my phone, and I have all these notifications, and one of them is from Peacock, and it's like the Royal Rumble has started, and I'm like, what? And it's Saturday, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I just like open it, and the Rumble is going, and it's not the men's, it's the women's Royal Rumble. But I'm like,
Oh,
holy shit, it's free on Peacock, at least for now.
yeah.
I was like, I'll just see how long this goes. So I put on the TV. The women's Royal Rumble was fantastic.
Yeah.
They did it like the old like 90s, like where there was this really interesting story of like characters Agnew that I don't know.
Right.
But Michael Cole's so good at kind of like recapping like what they're currently doing, where
Right.
like when they got to the ring, I understood like
Like,
who's
oh, she's
it was
there, but she's
just
upset
good.
about losing the Intercontinental last week. You
Yes.
know, like yeah, like where you're like, oh, okay, like that person's
Yes,
there, and
she was cheated out of the
yeah,
whatever title
she was
because
in a
of so and so
wheelchair
and
up
so
until
and
last
so.
night, and then she walked
Yes,
again. You know?
and then there was like two or three girls that like I know that have been
Yeah,
doing this for like 30 years that like showed up because they probably just needed an extra person. 30 people.
yeah,
So anyway, the ending, they botched the ending. It sucked. It like took them forever to get where they needed to be. But like
right,
everything leading up to that was really, really good, and I couldn't tell who was going to win.
yeah.
Uh, and then the championship match for the world title was lame. And then the men's rumble started. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
the
that
rumble's the best.
I thought
Like
that
of
was a
all
pay
the,
per view. Yeah.
it's been a pay-per-view, but like, I don't know. WWF keeps getting purchased by other companies,
Maybe now isn't
merging.
like Royal Rumble like a lead up to WrestleMania sometimes. So like,
Yep,
isn't it
it
like
is.
so
Always,
maybe they're
always.
just giving you that for free, and then to
The
get you
road to
to
WrestleMania.
get the WrestleMania. Yeah.
But they are
It's so random
going,
because I like when I was on my business trip, I actually there weren't many channels to choose from. It was kind of like a dated TV system in the hotel. And so I had to like flip through. It was like HBO Family or like USA. Like those were it was like that or like weather. Like it was like C-SPAN and weather on every other channel, and then guide telling me what channel the weather's on. Like and then
Right.
I just
HBO
turned.
Family.
Yeah,
I didn't even know they had that.
it wasn't great. And then so I switched over and randomly on either USA or whatever channel it's on, the wrestling was on and they were pushing. This is so funny because again, I haven't looked at wrestling in forever, but I was like, I just need
Me neither.
something non brain taking. I have no
Yeah, I
brain
want to
left.
turn
Like
off. Right.
it was like 10 o'clock at night. I hadn't eaten dinner yet. And I was like,
Oh,
I was
jeez.
eating like a terrible Wendy's that I know at 41, I'm going to just be up all night. Like I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat this. And then I'm going to have to like sit up for 2 hours before, because if I go to bed, I'm going to get sick. So I'm like,
Oh God.
because you're 41 now and like burgers
Yeah.
affect you. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you miss the days of being in college and being like, I'm gonna eat this like, sweet pepper loaded
Oh,
taco or something like in the middle of the night and then just
dude,
pass out.
I ate 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches one day. The next day, I had like a million balloons in my body, just gas bubbles exploring my innards that I just could not get out of me. I was like, this is my favorite food.
I always wonder if it's like, did that always happen and I just ignored it? Like I was like, oh, my
No
stomach
way.
hurts today. Like I just never made the connection
The
between the
connection,
two.
right, right, right.
It's like I just drank like a glass of milk. I can't understand why my stomach hurts now. Like um,
I've
I
been
just
drinking a lot of milk lately.
I had a lot of milk with my spaghetti last night, and I don't understand, like, why I'm not feeling great today.
Why are my
Now,
pants smoking today?
now I feel like I'm starting a list of all like the little things that it's like after 8, gonna die. Like if I eat after 8, like I'm dead. Doesn't matter what it is. Like you're dead. And then it's like raw onions after 6, also dead. Like you're done.
Oh,
It's over.
what, like heartburn or stomach problems or
Yeah, just
oosle
reflux
oopie
and
pay?
yeah. I mean, like 90%, like especially, because Kelly works in your nose and throat, like 90% of, and this is not a medical opinion, but most things are reflux. Like most, like coughing
Oh
or
yeah,
like, having throat problems in the middle of the night. It's like most of it is reflux and like nobody wants to believe it. It's like bed bugs, they're like, oh, I don't have
it's,
it.
it's
It's
just
like,
the garbage.
they think it's like something way worse, and oftentimes it's like no, it's just stomach acid. Like you're just upsetting your stomach and then laying down. And
You just
so
eat horrible.
so anyway, so I know those rules about me now. So
Oh God,
that was like, so
I'll figure
I
those
was like
rules out by the time I'm like 80.
I was eating Wendy's pretzel baconator, because I also didn't want to make a decision about what to eat, so I just picked whatever the biggest poster was, and got that. And it wasn't that great, really. I don't
The
know. I don't know.
pretzel bacon.
I don't know why. I'm done with bacon on burgers. I'm done with that. I don't get why it's a thing. Why would you want like a different meat to take over the meat that you're eating? Like it just doesn't. It doesn't complement the burger. It just sends the burger in a completely different direction. It's like it just overtakes the burger. Like you're just eating crappy bacon, and it's done. And the pretzel bun was stupid. There was no pretzel flavor in it whatsoever. It was probably the only time I've eaten fast food in like years. Sorry, smart water.
Jesus, that was like a sneeze, cough, sneeze thing
Oh,
where I was like, okay, but luckily I muted it. I shouldn't have muted it.
you
It
okay?
would have been funny to
Yeah,
hear.
I didn't notice it because I was speaking to the air.
Um, but fuck, what were you just saying?
Well, I was just talking about the Wendy's burger that I ate.
Oh, no, bacon on a burger.
Yeah, bacon on a burger.
I mean, God. Yeah, I agree. I just like cheese, lettuce, and tomato.
Lettuce and
And
tomato really takes it to like the next level, especially
yeah,
like
I like
if
the crunch.
And if the tomato starts getting like hot from the burger, like the burger's so hot that it starts heating up the tomato and like dissolving it,
Mm.
comes out. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this, how we love like crunchy things like chips and pretzels and anything crunchy. People
yeah,
love crunch. And then it's like almost all the vegetables are crunchy.
yeah.
Carrots, peppers, cucumbers.
Well, there's actually like I remember listening to a podcast about jaw strength and how people's jaw strength
Yeah.
is fading because
We should be like bigger because we're
because they just eat everybody's eating mushy food. Like
mush.
everything is super easy to eat. Like your breakfast, like everything at McDonald's, just like you could just squish it into your mouth. Like you don't
Right.
have to.
It's not like nuts
It's like
and crunchy vegetables.
yeah, like well, I always make the sourdough, so like we're constant,
Sourdough.
like we're just crunching away on that like all week long.
Oh
So
my
it's like
god. In Disney World we had this breakfast where it was a little tiny, like they must have done like a baguette style sourdough and then chopped it into little tiny little,
oh, okay, yeah,
1 inch divots,
yeah.
and then like a poached egg and like a dollop of like marinara. And
Mm,
you would just take the and it was like just a little single bowl, but I
yeah.
took like 7 of them and ate. But dude,
You're like,
Hannah is like a vegan, but like by choice. Like she just doesn't eat meat. But it's just she like loves fruit and vegetables. She'll like destroy a whole thing of peas and broccoli,
that's
raw
good.
or
Yeah,
cooked.
yeah.
And like her like jaw, I can like tell is like better because she's eating all this like regular stuff
I'm sure.
instead
Yeah,
of like mushy crap.
like she has to actually like crunch through it all, and it's like
Right. Mash it. Yeah.
yeah. It's crazy though to even like think about that though. That like I mean, most food you'd come across, like if it was like natural food,
Yeah.
would be something that you're going to be crunching through. You know, like
Yeah.
even meat is going to give you some sort of challenge to like chew up. You know, and
I
it's
just
like,
think of like an apple.
oh
You
my
need
god,
like every part of your of your all your teeth. You need them all to
yeah,
like eat one. You can't like really bite it like this. You have to like start like that,
yeah.
and then you got to do it. But don't you love it when I interrupt you and then just have nothing to say?
Well, let me tell you about the trip. So,
Oh yeah,
not the
that's a nice
details of
true
the trip,
story.
but this one thing I was gonna tell you about the first off, whenever you go, at least for me, my experience, whenever you go like on a work trip, you end up working way longer than you would if you were just working at the job normal, right? Like so,
Yeah, it
with a few
becomes like a
exceptions, with a few
10-hour
exceptions.
day.
So like I'm not talking about conventions or you know events that you're going to where you're like everybody's congregating into one spot for some sort of event.
You're not technically
That's
really even working.
that's different, right? Yeah, that's more like
Networking.
you're like taking notes or networking and stuff like that. Like you're picking and choosing what you're going to. But like when you're actually working like at a different work site or at a customer site or something like that, like you end up working way longer, especially because you have nothing to like leave to go do except maybe eat, right? Like it's like, oh, did you eat? Yes. Well, then you're working, right?
Is it
So
just you?
it was me and other people,
Were
but
you like
not.
with a team,
Yeah, it was with a
or
whole
was it
bunch
just
of people.
like how
Yeah,
many?
there was like probably like 40 people all together, like breaking out into smaller groups, but then like working together
Oh,
and stuff.
okay, okay.
But it was just like I was just so tired by the end of it, you know, like that's why like I'm like there's only so many days where you're going to get like 5 hours of sleep and like eating Wendy's. Like it's not like you're going to be recharged the next day, you know.
Dude, it's the war. And being away, like I do
Yeah.
like a day, I do like 2.5 days, and then I'm like, I can't not. I have to go home.
And right as I left, like I haven't left the house in, you know, at least 5 years, right? Like with
Oh
COVID and everything,
shit.
like I was always
Oh
home, right?
right,
Like there was
yeah.
no traveling or anything for a while, but even before then I didn't really travel since like 2012 or something.
Yeah,
And
the whole world caught up to us during the pandemic with the
yeah,
whole virtual
the whole
nonsense. We've
I
been
know.
doing this for 2 decades.
That's why, yeah, that's why when I joined calls and like I had this set up, they're like, "Whoa, like
I
who
know,
invested $1 million?"
dude.
I'm like, "No, I've just been doing this. And if you're gonna
Yeah,
do it,
dude.
this is what I used to say to people. I'm like, if you're
I
gonna
was like, mute
do it
yourself.
right. Yeah, do it right. Why aren't you doing it? You get paid 7 times as much as me." So
Yeah, really.
anyway, so I went, I got down there, and it was just so much work. Oh, so when I took off, like right as I'm taking off, there's a snow squall up here, like a random snowstorm just busts out of nowhere. Huge
Excellent.
winds, knocks like a 200-year-old willow tree down in the backyard and knocks out our internet.
Oh, it knocked down a willow tree?
Like super old
That's
willow
like a,
tree, like just
a big thing with like
it
lots of
it
arms.
just like the whole, I guess the whole root system just like
Boom.
snapped. It just fell over, came across our whole yard. Luckily it didn't hit the house, but it was but it came all the way across and broke the fence and all this stuff. So
And
but
where
this
were
all
you again?
happened, I was up in the air, like I was taking off when this happened. So I land, and like a
Flying
couple
where?
hours later, and and like all, like, when you get your like I love you, you landed, like you do all your
Oh, yeah,
love
yeah.
texts and stuff, like don't die, okay, I'll try, like you keep texting all this stuff back and forth. You're like, I'm alive, like I guess I could still text you because they have free Wi-Fi, and it's like, that's boring, just text me when you land, you know
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, well, what are we going to talk about?
it's not special anymore. Like
We only talk when needed now.
I want radio silence. I want to miss you for 2 hours. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I landed, and my phone reconnected, and the first thing I got was like a picture of the tree across the backyard, and I'm like, oh, like is the whole family dead? Like, what happened? Well, I guess you took the picture.
Right.
Um,
I'm guessing you're
so,
alive because you took the picture.
but like the internet was down, and so all of my glorious automating within the house, all of my
Oh,
amazing way of
no. Your smart
finding
home.
find my smart home to find switch, like, because it's an old house, so like if you want to really turn off all the lights, it's kind of difficult to do. I find ways around that, get Wi-Fi bulbs, do all these like little things to make things great. But when the internet's down, you can't
It's
control
just
these things. And I
old.
learned, and I didn't run a test in my house to say what happens when you lose the internet, because we're in the city. Why would I lose the internet? It's connected to a pole like 10 feet away that's connected to 100 other houses. Like, everyone would have to lose it, and then it
See,
wouldn't be my fault.
this is what I worry about. I'm like, what happens when we lose the internet? Like, what happens when shit gets weird and somehow or for some reason it does go out?
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, sometimes it
What
does.
are we
We've
gonna
had
do?
outages that take out the whole, eastern seaboard and stuff like that with the internet. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it takes that much. Um, but really, it just turns out being like any other thing that you forget how to live without, right? Just like when your water's out, you're like, well, my water's out, so I can't shower. I'll just have a cup of tea. Oh, and then you're
I'll
like,
just go poop.
yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, once.
I'll take the poop.
Who
We have
gets
3
it?
toilets.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
everybody gets one.
You're like, all right,
Dad gets 2.
we got we got 3 toilets. We got to make it last. Like, you get one solid flush, and then the room just is off limits. Yeah, like it just kind of works like that, like where you just forget the things that something like that works on. Luckily, most of my automation still worked within the house because the Wi-Fi still worked and the servers still worked. It's just that the internet was down, so I couldn't remotely jump in to fix anything that was wrong. And stepping my family and Kelly through all the steps that it would take. I feel like each step, I thought about how many steps there were, and I'm like, every step, there's going to be just like a little bit more anger. I'm like, all right, just go to your browser, and it's like that's one. It's like, oh no, it's like,
I
type in
know.
this IP address, 2. What password? Oh, this is going to be a long one. So it's like.
Oh my
But anyway,
God.
like it ended up getting fixed. But it was like the first time I left the house. Anyway,
Of course.
I get down there, and
You're in the air.
the funny thing is, like, I'm having this like horrendous week. Like it's just so much work, and like there's no fun of a hotel. When you're having like a terrible time, like everything about the hotel is terrible. And except for that, there's this convention for like auto parts there, and every day, like for some reason, I parked on the opposite side of, so I had to walk through this convention every morning, and everybody had
Oh.
these like navy blue shirts and jackets that were like the logo of the auto parts team that they're on.
Okay.
And it just so happened that that jacket was the same jacket that, like, very similar jacket to the one I had. So the one morning I walked down, and it was awesome because I was in like a terrible mood. And there's like these like five guys just like sitting in these chairs, and as I come walking by, like I just have my backpack, I'm just walking straight through, not really like thinking about anything. They're like, "Oh, hey sir, how you doing?" And they like came up to me like I was some like major executive. They're like, "Oh, we've been waiting for you." And I just, you know, there's like a moment where I could have maybe corrected them like a little bit sooner. But it's not often that like five people jump up to shake your hands, like shake your hand as you're like walking,
Oh,
like,
hardly ever.
like you just have a coffee, you're just walking down. If five people ran up to you and they're like, "Oh, like great to see you," maybe it is great to see me.
Man.
Maybe they're not maybe I'm not misrepresenting myself. Maybe they just are happy to see me and what makes me tick, you know. And so I shook all their hands, and then
Yeah, maybe they're that kind of.
we just kind of stood in a circle for a moment and like breathed, like kind of like like that's over. And I'm like, and then
Again, like Wayne's World.
no,
Hi.
well, even better, I gave them the Lloyd Christmas. I'm like,
Hi.
well, see you later. And I just like turned and started walking, and they were like, "Wait, like, are you
You're
coming
like,
to the
what?
convention?"
And
I'm
you're
like,
like,
"No,
bingo.
I'm just the guy staying here, but thanks."
Oh
And they were
my
like, so it was awesome. Yeah, it was the big gulps. It was like, coffees,
What they
huh?
say.
All right. They just all laughed. They were like all
They're
these
like,
like
what?
they were just like Southern guys. They were just funny.
Oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't belong here.
They were just having they probably would have let me
Ironic.
go. They probably would have just like been like, come in and eat breakfast and hang out with an auto parts team for the day. It'll be
Oh,
funny.
dude, it would have been so easy to just
It,
play along
it
all
would have
day with
been,
them.
I wouldn't
They
even
would
have to
never
play.
have
They would have been
guessed.
like, that's just some guy who's here. And they probably would
that's
have
what I
been
mean.
fine with it. Yeah. They had like all these like toys and prizes. I was like, this looks like so much fun. Every time I like come home, they're like, it was like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock when I'm walking in. They're like wrecked. There's just like
Oh,
it's almost like a wedding where there's like all these like random glasses all over the place with like
yes,
half drank
different
stuff and straws
color.
sticking out of it. Yeah, and like
Yes.
everybody's stumbling around, and like there's like one guy like talking to
Cigarettes.
everybody, just like rocking back and forth. I'm like, these are grown. These people are older than me, and they're just having such a good time. Okay, I miss it, but it was nice to get the handshake.
I know. There's like this period, I think, that I keep hearing where people say, like, in like their 50s and 60s, they're like enjoying life more.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I hope, because now I'm pretty like, I've had enough of life. Not like that way, not like life, but like I've had enough of like, I get irritated so quick.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It's like, not that I've had enough of life, but I'm kind of like, it's all just the same shit over and over and over. It's like the same stories, and I just don't care. I care about this. And then, like I said, and that we were talking about new friends. I'm like, yo, this is the only generation that's been able to maintain relationships after school. Like everybody before us, it's like after school, they're like, maybe if we're lucky, we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, like it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's like a lot.
Now it's not. It's like we can just talk to everybody.
Well,
like
you can't
every
let go
day.
of anybody. Like there's like you almost have to like consciously
much.
get away from people.
Yeah,
They can all find you, right? Like, do you remember like when we
like
first
the Facebook purge?
Yeah, like when we had like I would say like around 2008, 2009, like you used to get those messages from people like, "Hey, like, how you doing? Like, I haven't talked to you for a while since high school. Like, are you interested in a new car?" I'm like, oh my, like, where they're just
Oh,
tapping into their network. Everyone's getting into pyramid schemes and like doing all
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, "I've got a business opportunity for you." And you're like, oh
And I was always like, oh, well, I know this person. They can't be like part of some scam.
my.
I'm going to take them up on it. And then it's like,
Then you
but how
realize
isn't
it's
this a pyramid
everyone.
scheme after 5 minutes?
And
So I
then
have
you
to
like,
pay to get this job? I thought they pay me.
no, they pay you eventually by bringing more people in. All you have to do is find 14 people. Then they find 14 people, and then they find 14 people, and all of a sudden you're out of people on Earth.
And you're just going to ruin all your friends and take them for all
Looking
they
forward.
got. Hot dicks, okay. I was trying to think of something like that where, because I
Of a
want
new
to do
pyramid
this.
scheme.
I want to do this. Yes, I want to
I
do
mean,
this.
it's a
No,
great
like
way to make money. I mean, honestly, like if you can
no,
think of the beginning one of the start.
no, like the High Commander sketch.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, I almost want to do a video where I'm like, no more trailer reactions, and I'm gonna do this now. And I was like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? I still like haven't thought of that.
Like you're going to
Something,
pivot on your content.
something that like just becomes more like this,
Yeah.
where it's like I don't have to do something so niche to where it's kind of getting like robotic. And I'm like, the passion and all the like joy is kind of like becoming just routine.
Yeah.
And that was always my idea. I was like, I'm always, this is just kind of like a
Well,
generic way to kind of like,
it's a good content model, right? Because you've got an endless flow coming in,
yeah, right,
then you've got a formula, and then you've got an output, right? So at least
yeah,
you've got a constant
it
flow.
keeps it
The hard part
living.
is figuring out how to do that flow with something else,
Yeah,
right? Like you need constant input. Like for the people
yeah,
that only comment on like Marvel shows,
yeah,
yeah, everything's really great right now. I can comment on all my Marvel shows. When Marvel goes bankrupt and everything shuts down and Disney like implodes, it's like, what are you
yeah.
gonna
Well,
talk
dude,
about?
Marvel, I get the least amount of views because
Really?
my videos are pushed to the bottom because I don't have, because everybody does them. It's like the like obscure, not obscure, but like kind of like in the middle of the road, like Elvis and Civil War and like Madam Web, like these weird ones that because not many people are doing it.
I see.
So that's the fun about it. It's like, ooh, is this as this A24 indie scene kind of like continues to rise,
Right.
uh, more and more will just be available and kind of ride that wave. Uh, but again,
You could probably go backward too. You could probably go back and watch trailers from like a
that was a plan.
1970s movie. Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be good too.
Or like remakes that have been, like in the last 10 years or whatever. Remakes and then watch the original ones, like Oscar winners, like The Departed. Like go watch the trailer for Infernal Affairs, the like
Yeah.
Asian movie or
Although
whatever
a
they
lot of
were
them
doing.
didn't have trailers back. Like trailers were kind of more of a recent
That's
thing.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Or they just show half the movie. They're like,
But I was thinking about like, I guess like the audio skits, the CWO, all the like acting, like the characters that we would like do. And it was like, God, I was like, that was so fun doing it because it was like our own little production. Like
yeah.
we would write it, we would shoot it, we would direct it. We had costumes and it got like, I mean, it was almost like I wish we had started doing it in a more like efficient way from like the get go instead of like we just kept like doing it and it was like, well, the more we do it, we're going to slowly fine tune
Yeah.
it, the whole process.
I
Because when
mean,
we were like actually
yeah.
doing it, it was like the best thing ever. It was so
Yeah.
much
I
fun.
mean, we were also like kids, right? So we
Of
also had a
course.
lot more time on our hands. And
Oh my
you
God, of
know, we
course.
would basically work only to just go do that, you know, and then we wouldn't realize we just spent 4 hours on it. And also, if we stayed up till like 1 in the morning working on something, we also instantly recovered the very next day, right? And you know,
Remember Chris? We'd be like, it's gonna take like 4 hours. We like always needed Chris,
yeah.
and it would be like, yeah, it's gonna be like 4 hours, man. I would spend literally the entire school day slash week like writing the scripts in class.
Oh yeah, I
Like
still
the only thing I
I
did.
think I still have some of them scribbled out.
Oh,
So yeah, I
I just
mean,
don't even know how I did it.
but think
I don't
about
even
it
know
like
how I
this.
wrote
Think
it.
about it like this. I mean, really, I think the problem with going back to that was that a lot of it was caricatures of people we know. Not that that's the problem, but we were doing like identical mimics
Oh yeah,
of the
yeah.
characters, right? So I would
Too
say,
specific.
but I still think there's not much of a stretch to go into some sort of like radio drama type thing where there's no animation, there's no acting it out, there's just telling of a story. I think that could be done, you know, and
I've always wanted to do that.
I think that would be I think that would lend itself. It's like, all right, like I'm going to tell you a story and like write it out and then just kind of tell the story. And if you could do the voices, do the voices. If you can't do the voices, just say the story, right? Talk
I
about a
can
story
still do
for
the
an hour
voices.
and then just put it out as like an audio only podcast or put yourself on video saying it, like, you know, make it the MRI hour or something like that and tell that guy to shove it and actually play your MRI hour, you know, be that niche. MRI entertainment. That could be your that could be your ultimate niche. Nobody's doing it.
Right.
They're outlawing it in most states. Hospitals are freaking out that this is a thing.
Right.
Um,
I've gone from one of 8 million to the only one.
but
MRI.
but I mean, like, look at like not that I've watched it all, but like look at like Walking Dead, right? You know, like they kind of just started with like a very simple topic, and then they surround it with maybe like 8 characters in the beginning, and then they just kind of figure out which ones work, and then you've
Right.
got the ability. I was actually explaining spin-offs to Ruby earlier tonight because she asked me.
Ah.
She's like, "Have you ever heard of Young Sheldon?" And I was like, I never watched the show, but there was like a show called Big Bang Theory, and there was a popular character in it. And then sometimes when there's a popular character, they want to keep the story going after the show ends, and so they make a spinoff. And then I was talking about Happy Days, and then she got bored and didn't want to hear anymore. You know, I was like, well, there was like Laverne and Shirley, and then like, you know, some of them were pretty successful. Like I remember watching Laverne and Shirley, but I didn't actually know about Happy Days at the time, you know. And then I saw Cheers, and Frasier was in that, but it wasn't exactly a spinoff. It was
Oh,
just like
right.
he was kind of there, and then Frasier was there, so that's like a triple spinoff, you know. Um, or it was the other way around. Maybe I'm mixing it up,
It's like
but
every Marvel show on Disney Plus is a spinoff, technically.
yeah, technically
Mhm.
it's all just
All
like it just keeps
spinoff from
going.
movies.
But it's like a planned spinoff with nobody to watch it. Like nobody
Right.
was like, I want that. You know,
Right.
it's like Joey. You know,
It's like you're making everything but what I want to watch.
yeah, they're like, I mean, it's almost identical to Joey actually, because it's like, hey,
It's like,
everybody wants more friends. Nobody in Friends wants to keep going. We're gonna make a Joey spinoff, but he'll be a completely different character.
yeah.
It's like, well, then it's not Joey. It's like, don't
Well,
worry.
then,
The
yeah.
name of the
What are
show,
you doing for us,
we'll remind them because the name of the show will be Joey.
dude?
Like, that's not.
And he'll be Italian,
Yeah, he'll be Italian, but
just
also
like
all of a
his
sudden have.
super Italian sister, the most Italian actress
Yeah,
in the world on
yeah.
Sopranos. We'll bring her on too, so everyone will know she's Italian.
But she was
He
never
is.
in like anything else that was
No,
Friends
never.
or anything like that. And then he was like,
Yeah.
he wasn't like even Joey anymore. He was like intelligent and like it just didn't make any sense. It was just a completely different show. There wasn't much to go on. He was like obnoxious,
It was like
and
that, and then when they tried Kramer's like spinoff, I was like, "Yo, there is a difference between like the funniest guy in the show and the lead of the show.
right,
It's like sometimes that can't be the same thing."
yeah, it needs to play off one another. If the
Yeah,
goofy guy is the main guy, it's like then you have to just introduce another. You know,
it's a yellow car.
it's so crazy.
It's a yellow
Um,
car. It's like it's cool driving by. It's neat, but to look at it every day, it's like
yeah, you're gonna get groceries in that.
this is annoying me. Can't look at it anymore.
Yeah, Marvel. I don't know. Um,
Oh, did you watch the Marvels
oh yeah, I watched the Marvels. Yeah, on the plane, which is the
on the
perfect place
plane?
to watch that.
Yeah, yeah. You can fit it on even a short
Because nobody
flight.
else is looking at your screen. Like that's the thing about me. Like when I'm on, like I had a great seat that was like up against a backrest and an empty seat next to me on one of the flights, and I was like, I can watch whatever movie I want.
Lucky.
You know, like nobody's going to be judging me behind me or something like that. Um,
Yeah, yeah. No sex scenes.
yeah, right. Like, well, that's the thing too. It's like this content is not suitable for kids, and then I'm like, I don't even know what's in this movie, but you know, like I think
Yeah, it's just flashy.
I started that like AI movie. I forget what it was called, The Creator, and
Oh yeah,
and
that
then
was okay.
that was like it was like gratuitous sex. I'm like, what? Like you know,
Is
so
there?
I don't even know, but like you know when you get like they put up the warning, and it just makes
Yeah,
me
you're like,
feel bad. So then I'm
"Whoa."
like, I don't want to put anyone else around me through this. So so I switched it over to the Marvels because I was like, nah, like nobody will watch.
That's safe.
Um,
Disney.
that I feel like the Marvels was like the first DC Marvel movie. Like that, it felt like a DC movie to me. Just how disconnected every scene was. It just
Yeah,
felt that way. The funniest part was is I really enjoyed Miss Marvel.
I know. I
I thought
like
she
her.
was like a lot of fun, and I thought
Dude,
her
her
lines
show
were
is
like
good.
funny.
She is great in the
I know
show.
you've told me that. I still haven't seen it, but it's like, but I thought she
Her
was,
family's awesome in the show. Like you'll like the show. If you liked her in
yeah,
the movie, you'll love her and the family in the show.
yeah.
Her-
I didn't like the family in the movie. To be
yeah, they were
fair,
weird. They were kind of like a little too
they
ready.
were too comedic. Like, I'm sorry, but if your living room is being actively destroyed,
Yeah,
like that's not the reaction.
but they had. It's weird. The movie picks up like literally the same day the show ends,
Oh,
or
I
like the
see.
same minute. They like connect.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the rules of it. Like I remember, I saw like a lot of people criticizing it,
Oh,
right?
the rules.
So I kind of went into it full of all the criticisms, which I thought would
Same.
help, right? Like I thought that would
Yeah.
actually help it because I'm like, okay, like if I already know everything to look for, then I don't have to focus on the things that are going to upset me. Like so, I came into it a little bit okay. And to be fair, I think for the most part the rules were kind of followed. Besides like the spacesuit thing, most of the like you don't really know when two of them were using their powers at the same time.
Oh, right.
It like you can't really time it perfectly that you would know, right? Like because
Right.
somebody else might be off camera. So the
Right.
fact that they're using them, besides the fact that they tell them not to use them, that doesn't really break the rules. That just means that the person isn't listening.
Yeah.
So to me, that wasn't like as big of a thing. It was kind of like I would have
I
liked to know the rules on it, but it didn't kill it.
yeah. I thought I was like, I remember in the trailer, I'm like, such a cool concept, also impossible to pull off. Like it's one of those impossible concept. It's like neat, but how?
Yeah,
And it's like hopefully they just won't notice. It's like it's Spielberg shooting the thing in Jaws' mouth. I'll
yeah,
be able to do anything. They'll believe this thing will blow up,
right.
even though he's been chewing on it for 10 minutes.
It's
Still hasn't blown up.
yeah. Ah, he's just
It's
gnawing
like
on it.
I don't think that happens though.
Aren't
Don't
those teeth
worry.
like really strong? Like why
Don't
is
worry.
the bullet doesn't? Um, but yeah, the yeah, I didn't quite get that concept. Like when they switched the fact, like even when they train with the juggling balls or whatever, I'm like, yeah, but still, you know, like I don't care how well coordinated or super. Like it makes sense maybe for like Miss or for Carol Danvers because she's like supercharged. I don't really understand what the other uh, powers are for the other lady. She can control light or something, which just kept making me think of like Dr. Light and like
Yeah.
Identity Crisis and that whole scene. And then I couldn't get, and she wore like a costume almost identical to Dr. Light. And that just grossed me out in my head because all I kept thinking of was like how he like was rewatching the scene in the very beginning. And anyway, but that was the only thing. I mean, then the whole point was disjointed, and yeah, the villain was horrendous. It really just
Oh my
it
God, she's
really
like
just
6 words.
the whole thing just seemed like it should have just been like a conversation.
It was such a miss.
Like
I
it's
mean, I
just
just like the girls. Like that's all I was like enjoying them.
yeah
I was like, yeah, again, my expectations were so low that I was like, whatever. It's not like the worst thing ever, but like, I never expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be enjoyable, but like, I like Kamala Khan. I like Brie Larson. I'd watch her
yeah
do anything, and you know, I know it's gonna like lead to something important. Like I knew something cool was gonna happen at the end. I didn't know it was gonna be what they did, but
yeah
I knew like the conversion or what the fuck is it called? Not conversion, incursions are
yeah
like gonna start happening
yeah.
ever
I
since
mean,
Krasinski brought him up.
it feels sort of like those ending credit scenes are getting way more weight than the movies are.
Yeah, I
like
know. That's
like they're
just such a
like,
bad sign.
don't worry about it, like look who it is, and it's like
Yeah,
just key jangling in front of us. It's like, yeah, I
and
remember him. He was also in like Days of Future Past, and like I've seen
yeah,
this already. Like you don't remember? I remember.
it was just so strange. I mean, what's her face looked great. Liana Lynch, what's her Monica Rambo, whatever, the mom.
Yeah,
She like looks like her mom. She looked cool. But
yeah,
Beast was like CGI, but it was Kelsey Grammer at the same time. It was strange.
yeah. But he looked kind of like plump
It
in
was like,
Days of Future
hey,
Past. Like he looked like he's like hello. He's like hi Logan.
yeah,
Like he was like there was too much in his mouth and stuff, and then you could definitely tell that this one they were trying to make him look like the '90s cartoon.
like the cartoon for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. He was definitely like the '90s cartoon, which I think the only problem I have with that is like they're just tapping every freaking well
Yeah,
of
like
anything we can
follow
recognize.
through with this shit. Like, don't just do this. Like,
You know?
dude, there's a moment in Ms. Marvel. This is a spoiler, but I'm
I
gonna tell
don't
you
care.
anyway.
I don't
I'm
care.
gonna tell you anyway.
I've already seen
At the
like
end,
reviews on it and
her
stuff.
like
So
her friend is like the nerdy guy, and he's like working on her DNA. And
he's
at the end
Ned.
of the
Yeah,
at the end of the series, he's like,
yeah,
it's about your DNA. There's a mutation,
mhm.
and under him it goes. It
Oh,
plays
they're
like that
using
little
the
music,
the motif. Yeah,
like they did in Multiverse Madness, like when
yeah.
he comes out. So it's like, okay, well, that's great, but like, they all better show up in Deadpool 3, or like,
Yeah,
what the fuck are you doing? I mean, Wolverine's wearing the costume from the cartoon, so
yeah. I mean,
bub.
I guess so, but at the same time, it's like I don't know if I'm even ready. Like I don't know if I need to see them, like to see those exact
Yeah,
characters.
they better not. Yeah,
I don't really know if that's like a nostalgia thing I need. Like
yeah,
that
me neither.
that was fun, but I was also like hopped up on Frosted Flakes, and yeah, that theme is by far one of the best cartoon themes or TV show themes like ever. There's a whole like YouTube uh, thing just on like how they came up with that theme and like who produced it and like the guitar riff and everything and how they came up with it. It's phenomenal. Like the
It's
only
really
thing
great.
the only thing that I would say would top it. I guess it wouldn't top it, but something that's at the same caliber is the intro to the GI Joe movie. The
Huh.
GI Joe cartoon movie. It has the same kind of like ramp up because it just like starts off with like an action scene, like an absolute banger action scene. Like it's like it's like welcome to the party. Like that movie has one of the best opening movies of opening scene of any cartoon. It just I still remember it because it just starts off like what does it do? It's like dun dun dun, and there's like a big pause, and it's like dun dun dun,
Oh, it's already like
and
Top Gunny.
and then all of a sudden, like you're at the Statue of Liberty, and it's like dun 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 dun, and then it shows like the Cobra terrorists, and they have like bombs, and they start like attaching them all to like the thing, and it's like and they're like remember like they're like floating bubble jetpack things. They're like and they're like these like big globes, and they're just like, but for some reason like going like flying around in a non aerodynamic bubble and somehow able to control themselves, and then they're attaching all these things, and it's like crashing through the night comes the fearful cry of Cobra, 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 Cobra. And it's like nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And this is just like all like it didn't even there's not even like I think there's like a Columbia type credits thing or something. Like, but it just goes right into this, and it's like no one left to hide. Who will turn the tide? And all of a sudden, it's like, and like all the Joes come flying in. They're like, G.I. Joe, and they just like punch everybody. And it's like he comes in like in a jetpack and just like fly. Like it's like
I've never
like
seen it.
oh my gosh, it's by far the most like if you're gonna go out for the night and like you need to get pumped up, like yeah, 8 Mile might do it. Go for it. But try the opening sequence of the GI Joe movie. It's like
What about
oh my gosh, he's just like
Teenage
punches.
Mutant Ninja Turtles? Teenage Mutant. I mean, that's a good one.
Look,
It's a really good one.
I'm not saying it's not.
Somebody huge made that song.
I mean, even like Thundercats has a phenomenal. You know, it's like everything comes together. It looks better than the actual show. You know,
Right. I hate
but
that.
and I'm not saying like the regular GI Joe show either. Like I'm not saying
fighting team.
but yeah, Ninja Turtles is good.
Heroes
Ninja Turtles is good, but if you compare it to the overall opening scene, like besides like Wonder Woman
It's like
2009, like I would probably rank it like if I had to do opening to a movie, yeah, I would probably like it would be up there with Up as far as like intense beginning to a
Holy
movie.
shit.
GI Joe and Wonder Woman 2009. Like those would be like in my head right now. Those would be like my top three. Like in your face, get ready for this movie.
Yeah.
Things are going to be awesome. Now, whether it paid
I
off,
don't know.
like I don't think the rest of the I don't really remember the rest of the GI Joe movie. You don't really need to watch it. If you just watch the intro, you're like, yeah, because the whole rest of it is like snake people taking other snake people's thrones or something. I don't know what it was about.
Oh,
but,
Serpentor.
But for a kid movie, like I don't know how I didn't get to see this in the theaters because it was just like intense. I guess the Transformers movie also has a pretty good one, but you know, I mean, like Stan Bush has his place. That's that rocks, right? But I still think GI Joe is better as far as like an opening. Definitely GI Joe. Hold on.
Definitely Cobra.
I guess you can't. Can you play it? Can I
definitely
play it?
Snake Eyes. Definitely Duke.
Should we try it?
Definitely Sergeant Slaughter. Is that AI trailer, Sergeant, or it's called Slaughter? Is that real?
What?
There's some like Slaughter trailer. It's a movie about Sergeant Slaughter. But it looks totally like AI, CGI, like not real. But it's got like it. I don't know.
I can see it.
Know.
I don't know if there was.
Cool.
I mean, Sergeant Slaughter's definitely in the movie. I think, because he was like a regular character on GI Joe, like in the later seasons.
I know he was like the best.
It was awesome.
He would show up at like the end and save everyone.
and then they teach you a
And then he
lesson.
was a real guy, and he turned and he joined Iraq and in the Gulf War, and he sided with Saddam, and he
Did he?
became a villain in wrestling.
In wrestling, yeah.
And then Hulk Hogan beat him.
What a
He
great.
beat the Warrior and took the belt off him.
Hmm.
I hated Warrior even more. You suck. Slaughter. In
Like you
fairness,
don't
Macho
feel
Man Randy
bad for him.
Savage smashed him in the head with the scepter when the ref wasn't looking.
Well, if that happens, what are you gonna do?
Macho King.
Macho King.
The Macho King. Oh, yeah. I can't do the voice right now.
I always drive by that one restaurant. There's a restaurant called Bonesaw in New Jersey, and every time we go to, it's so hard. Like I don't know how they don't make that their slogan. It's like a brewery, and like I'm like, and it was getting built, and so I was like, oh, I can't wait till it's actually ready. I'm gonna just unleash this on the kids, and then it was getting built. It was getting built, and then we like went the one day, and it was open. And I was like, Bonesaw is ready, and they had no clue. They're like, "What are you? Is something wrong?"
You didn't show them? You're like, you haven't seen Spider-Man? Oh, yeah, I am your dad.
Oh yeah, that's my responsibility.
That's my job.
To get that thing.
Sometimes I catch myself doing that. Like, Hannah, how do you not? And I'm like, because I haven't told her.
Because
her.
yeah. You start saying like that. How have you not seen that? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you've only been on Earth for
Yeah,
like a half a dozen years. I gotta.
Yeah, 6. It's so funny how many things she knows already how to do that I didn't in kindergarten.
Oh yeah,
It's crazy, man.
they're way smarter than us.
Yeah.
Leo is like, both of them are like way more balanced than I am today. So I'm like, oh, like you guys have all the tools.
I'm like, we married the right women. For sure. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Sheesh. We really did it. We really narrowed it
really
down. And like I was like saying to Heather, I'm like, yo, like my first written driver's test, my first attempt at the MRI, my first attempt at things usually are not the right thing. I'm like, but with you, I hit a grand slam on the first at bat. Yes.
It's like it. Yeah. No, definitely. And somehow they still put up with us. That's the part I don't like. I still don't understand that.
That's
like,
how good they are.
I'd like somebody to like come and explain it to me, and be like,
I know, me too.
Like, what? Can you just show me this equation? It's like, oh, you actually have amnesia. You're actually like a prince of some country, and she's just waiting for you to wake up. Like you're stuck in a Hallmark '90s movie, and we're just waiting for everything to come to. Or it's like a George McFly situation. Like she just feels bad for you. And, and that's why she married you.
I'm like, are you a sucker for hopeless causes?
Yeah, hopeless causes.
Are you real life St. Jude? I'm like, what do I? Well, everybody is kind of lame.
Yeah.
So we have that in our favor. I always think that. I'm like, the masses are asses. So that's good to know. That's good to have in
when you actually get out there and see it, like you do feel better. There's nothing better than hearing about like another couple and like some other husband doing something terrible, and you're like, yeah, like you just like sit back, you just like bask in it. You're like,
so normal,
and then you just try to not say like anything near the frame of like how great you are, because you're so modest.
Yeah, I right, yeah, exactly. But inside, inside, I'm like, I'm saving this for the podcast.
Inside, you're holding up the championship belt. You're like, you're like in the corner of the ring. Like, it's like intercontinental husband.
I'm yelling to the crowd. I love it when other wives, I'll be kind of like, I'll say something, and the other wife, one of our friends, they'll be like, you sound just like, and she'll say the husband's name. And I'm like, yeah, because we are the third party. We are the observers. So we're seeing all the like, you know, kinks in the armor that like we just go, all right, because happy wife, happy life.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I feel like it takes, I think we've talked before about this, but it takes a lot to kind of like stop and reflect in the moment. It's kind of like
Oh,
I always think of it as
so hard.
that like I always think of it like a hook moment, right? You remember like when Robin Williams is learning to fly and then he loses, he's like I've got it, I lost it, and then he like starts to
Yeah.
drop, and then like right as he's falling he like kind of hits air brakes and like gets it
Oh
again,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then he kind
yeah.
of does like a smile, and then he's like, and then all of a sudden he's got all of it, like he's got full
Yeah.
control.
Right.
I always kind of think about that. So like if I'm in like a bad mood or something like that, I think I'm in like the hook falling, and I'm like, hold on to it, like remember. It's like
That's good that you can remember even that. Because for me, it's just blind rage. 5-year-old or 8-year-old John being told he has to repeat second grade, ready to go to war with everyone.
well for I've tried. I mean we've tried several things because I'm the kind of same way. And one of the
I'm a
things
victim.
I always yeah, the victimhood is just
Why?
the worst.
Woe is me.
It's like if there was something I could extract, like if there's like the Matrix, like I'm not learning piano, I'm not like if they have the little thing in the back of the head, I'd be like, can you just delete the that voice? Like can you just pull victim out of my head? Just pull it out. Like even if I get shot, I'll be like, my fault, you know.
Right. Like, can I just be like invincible like these other generations of fathers? Because like I am a sad sack who cries at anything.
Can you just turn down emotion?
Every
Um,
day I'm worried of like just breaking in half.
I had an awesome dream this morning though because I think Ruby got up really early and like went to the bathroom and then shut her door, and her door shut set off all of my instincts because I was like I was still kind of out of it, but I like woke up and I was like, someone's in the house, like, and then my brain went through all the calculations of like what door it was, and I was like, well, how would it be that door, and how would they have like walked past my door to get to that door without me hearing the creak in the floor? Like I went through all the scenarios, but then when I fell back asleep, I had a dream of like invaders like in the house, and like and in the scenario of this home invasion, they were like standing at the edge of the bed silently, like at like which is a kind of vulnerable spot
Creepy.
to be in, right? Like you're like laying there, but they all
Dead.
like stationed throughout the house. It was like four guys like stationed throughout the house. They were just like assassins for some reason,
Jesus
like
Christ.
John Wick, and and yeah, they like grabbed me, they like grabbed Kelly, and they were like holding her down, and they were like show us where it is, and I was like, all right, like I've got like electronics upstairs, like just take me up there. And in my closet here, I've got
Electronics.
I've got like like there's like old
I
laptops and
have a
stuff
lot of
in there.
wires.
I've got wires, and
I have every
but
wire you need. HDMI, USB.
do you have a proper converter? Are you trying to do 4K? Like I'm asking them for
I even
specifics.
have this weird one.
Yeah, but I went in here and I have this like
Yeah, you're like, I don't even know why I got this one, but I do have it. And I mean, maybe you guys could use it. Look, it has this.
are you, is this
I
going to
don't
be on a
even
Mac
know.
or is this
This
Linux?
is,
Like what do you
yeah,
guys?
what are you guys using? Yeah,
Never mind. I have a
that's
spare Mac. We can use. I
hilarious.
have a spare Mac. No, well, I was trying to like confuse them with like getting it, like playing dumb, playing like I'm not about to turn into
Oh,
John
where's the
Wick.
power cord? Oh.
And I went in the closet here and I pulled out uh, a pipe wrench. Like I have this like giant pipe wrench that I
Mm,
got for the like it looks like ridiculous. It looks like
it looks fake.
it looks like from the Mario
Like a
Brothers movie,
cartoon.
like the
Yeah, yeah.
giant one that they have in the Mario Brothers movie. It's like that. And
Mario.
I did like such the cool like John Wick move type thing that I really want to use in real life if it comes up, but we'll see. Where you where you throw it at them,
We'll see
right?
next year.
So I was like, here's the laptop, but I throw it, and the guy like actually had like a gun on me, but instinct makes them catch it, right?
Drop
So
the gun to catch
I
the.
threw it, and they're like, oh, I have to catch this thing, right? And so he dropped the gun, and I just wailed him across the head, like just no restraint, like full
Like
swing, just
outlay.
yeah. And he went like, and it was like, it was so like insane. It was too realistic in the dream. Like I almost got sick
Oh,
because it was like, because
jeez.
he just like the whole body just
Skull.
went like boom, like into the wall and then like down, and he was just like nearly headless Nick at that point. Yeah. And then I grabbed like his gun, and I just
Ichabod
like,
Crane.
and I'm just like covered in blood with like a pipe wrench and a gun in the other one. And I'm like, let's get the other guys. And I just like went through, and I was like, pop, 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 pop.
Where are your girlfriends?
Yeah. But it was so funny because I kept thinking, I need to get these guys out of here, but I also don't want to really make a mess that I have to clean up. Like it was so funny that I was balancing
Weird.
these two thoughts where I'm like,
You're like, I'm gonna take them out, but I don't want it to be messy.
yeah, I don't really want there to be too much blood. So I started
I'll just
opening
give
up.
them all the sleeper holes.
So I started opening up the windows, and as I would kill them, before things got too messy, I would throw them out the window, and they would like land in the alley, and I'll be like, I'll just hose that off later with the power washer. It'll be fine, like just to kind of limit. Like I was more worried about the mess that I would leave rather than surviving, because I think I must have figured out that it was a dream at that point.
It's funny because no one else will clean that. Like forensic, like the cops aren't going to clean it.
There's so many cracks in this floor. Like it's going to be forever in between the interstitial space, and it's going to smell like stinky blood. Yeah.
That damn interstitial space.
It's like, yeah. Like one of the guys I got like into the tub, and I was like, that's not the best, but it's, it'll do.
Your dreams are so insane. I don't know why.
This was all like 20 minutes before I woke up.
A few of them into things.
Yeah, I do. I have the wizard. I still.
They're
have
all very cinematic.
I haven't had cinematic dreams like that in a while, so.
Okay.
It was probably from eating late or something.
Yeah. Of course.
It was indulged by reflux. So no, I mean, but it was like in that 20-minute between time of actually having to wake up and staying in bed because it's warm. It was like the perfect dream time.
I hate it. Oh, right. Yeah. Where you go into like that REM. I forgot I was, I don't know how we got tangented off, but I wanted to tell the end of the Rumble story.
Sorry.
No, I don't know where we went.
My gosh.
But so the men's Rumble starts, and I hear like footsteps. Those are terrible footsteps.
It was good.
But I hear footsteps upstairs, which means Hannah's awake.
Oh, I thought you meant you heard like footsteps like running down like the metal ramp like in the Royal Rumble, and I was like, oh, who is it? The Rock?
No. The Rumble was like, it was probably the least like star-studded Rumble I've ever watched. Like I knew hardly anybody.
Yeah,
3 or 4 guys. It was bad. But the guys that I did know like stayed in and did well. But anyway, Hannah comes down, and I'm like on the ground stretching because my back sucks and I have to stretch all the time. And Hannah comes and like lays on me, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Can I watch TV with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, get on the couch." So she like goes on the couch, and like we've watched Royal Rumbles before. Like she just like likes them.
Yeah.
Probably for the same reason anybody does. It's just like colorful, and there's music, and the Rumbles are the best because it's
everybody's doing flips and things.
Every 2 minutes there's somebody new. They get thrown out. Yeah, like it's easy to follow. They're fun. So like we watched the live 2024 Royal Rumble from start to finish together.
Wow.
And it was like, dude, like it was great. Like when it was down to 3, I like got up off the ground, and like we were both like on the couch, and I was like, what is gonna happen? Who's gonna win? And I knew who was gonna win. I predicted it. I sound like DeWitt.
I knew it.
But then I took her upstairs, and she went back to sleep. It was awesome.
That's
It
great.
was, it
Yeah.
was like one of those really like out of nowhere, didn't plan it. It just happened moments.
Sometimes you just like make those deals too with them. You're
Yeah,
like, all
yeah, of
right,
course.
like let's
Yes,
just
that's
do
what it
this.
felt like. I was like, Bud, do you want to watch this? This is the Royal Rumble. It's happening right now. I don't think it like registered to her for like until like halfway through. She's like,
Like
so
an
is
actual
this
live
is
event.
this somewhere else? I'm like, it's in Orlando. It's right up
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So that's awesome though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching these things has been fun. The kids have been enjoying. They're excited for the Super Bowl, especially with the Niners in it, because like half the family is like I had to
Oh, that's
promise
right.
when I asked for Kelly's hand in marriage. I had to promise that as long as the Niners weren't in conflict with the Eagles, I would have to root the Niners on in playoff and
That's
Super
funny
Bowls and stuff.
because that's funny. It's my favorite team. It's my other favorite team. Um, even though I don't really care, I just have the Steve Young jersey from when I was like 11.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I
That like
remember. Well, I
still.
remember your room like all being decked out and
Yeah. I was huge when they were like Jerry Rice and all those guys.
it was
Big
like this.
fan.
This whole side was Jerry. It was just uh, Niners and like the whole thing was like Niners, and then there was like a whole Star Wars world inside the closet, sometimes spilling out into the other like wherever there was a surface, there
I
was
knew
some
I
sort
was
of
like
like setup.
I knew I was too old playing with my Star Wars toys when I was like sneaking cigarettes around the side of the house, going like, I think Luke's gonna turn to the dark side. That's kind of a stolen joke, but it happened to me, and that's why I think it's so funny. But he was talking about like wrestlers, and he's like, I think Tatanka's gonna get the Intercontinental title. He's like, I'm having a cigarette and I'm deciding what my toys like title exchanges are gonna be.
It's like yeah, it's past its prime.
Yeah.
Time to bag it up.
I knew when I knew I was too old to play with toys when I had to like unfold my legs and like stretch them out because I was like sitting on the ground and I'm like, oh, this is. I think I'm too big to even like sit here and do this.
I think that's that's a key point. Yeah, like where you're like I can't just sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Like I need a like once you have to reach for a cushion to sit on, you're like, all right, I'm out. Like I should be doing it. Like once I need like a TV tray
Back
to
to
play on. Yeah, like I'm
yeah,
gonna play
right.
on the couch. Nowhere else, just on the couch. Um,
Yeah, like I need like to be put in traction to play with my toys. But speaking of my back, it is hurting me right
yeah.
now.
No, I'm ready. I gotta go.
Oh yeah, we're like 2 hours
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. It was an
Great show,
easy two
brother.
hours. Yeah, that was fun.
As always, man.
All right.
You got anything going this weekend?
Just normal basketball stuff like that. Got to do the coaching.
God, I don't know how you do it, dude. I don't know how you do it.
The games are okay. The practices are tough
Practice.
because the
Talking
kids,
about practice.
I can't get them to focus. They just keep throwing basketballs around. I'm like, all right, do you guys like want to learn to play? They're like, no, we just want to scrimmage. And I was just like, fine.
Yeah, it's
We're
like,
just gonna
do you want to
scrimmage.
beat the real team? Do you want to beat other
The
teams?
problem is
Or
they
you said
dominate.
you
No,
won,
the
right?
problem is like they gave me an
So maybe just have them
unfair.
scrimmage.
It's like an unfair, superpowered team. Like we won both games last week, and two of the kids like weren't there, and one of the kids was like hacking up a lung, and he was just like layup, like he was still making shots, and he was like on like 30% power. Um,
I was
so
like Jordan the flu game. He played like his best game ever.
yeah, they actually had like Ruby actually ended up being in the first game. She was kind of like Shaq. They just kept like she was taller than like the other team, so they
Oh
just kept
yes.
like
Oh yeah. Kelly's
throwing it
tough.
over to her, and she just would turn around and like put it in, and she got like 3 points in a row, which was crazy. So, or three shots.
Awesome.
So,
That's awesome.
but I messed up the first game. Like it was like 61-12 or something. Like, and I did everything in my power to rein the kids in. I was like,
And they
pass
just
it
kept.
6 times. I was like, only like who hasn't scored yet, and it was like like one of the kids, I was like, all right, they're the only ones allowed to shoot. And then it's like they go right down and he like shoots like 5 times and like gets all of them in. I'm like, stop scoring.
Everybody was just on fire. That's awesome.
Ah, I was like, luckily nobody, there was like no parent waiting like by my car to like, knock me out or something. But I'm like, I
Basketball's
tried.
weird though, because it's like, what are you supposed to do? Stop shooting the ball?
Well, that's the
It's like
thing.
baseball. You can like no one's swinging for the fences. Football, you can obviously run it out. Hockey, I mean, there's never really the case.
Yeah. I mean,
It's mostly like baseball.
you could throttle it back, but it's like I tell the kids, I'm like, go easy, go slow, and they do, But like some of the coaches even now are like kind of discussing the rules, and the rules are already so restrictive. Um, like they can only play man defense and stuff like that, and they're saying like, all right, like let's start calling traveling on the kids that know how to dribble, but not call traveling on the kids that don't know how to dribble. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that.
No, that's so
It's
ridiculous.
so not
That's like
fair. Yeah.
it's like, well, then yeah, how? I mean, then the
Like,
kids
how
are
am I
just
going
gonna
to
be,
know
oh,
in
I don't
my
know how to
head?
dribble.
Yeah, like I'm going to like size everybody up and be like, all
The
right, like
kid can totally manipulate that.
and it's also just going to be frustration for the kids that are doing
Yeah.
well. Like they're already dealing with like kids that don't know how to play, which is
Oh,
already
right.
frustrating. And I'm saying
Right.
like you have to pass to that kid, and they're doing it. To me, that's
Right.
fair game. Now we're out.
Yeah.
Like you've done your
Yeah.
service, right?
You passed.
And everybody's winning and everybody's doing well. And I say, we get back on defense. I'm like, hey, like back off, like cover, but
Hmm.
back off. But it's so hard to tell the kids that it's like, all right, a ball's bouncing in front of you. Don't grab it because we need the
I
other team to like.
know.
At what point are we just like babying them? I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not.
Yeah. No, that's not teaching them anything.
I've told them not to like when somebody's holding the ball to not like, you know,
Right.
like
Reach around,
turn it
hug
into like a
them.
wrestling match. I'm like, just
Right.
stay off and let them pass. And the kids are like, I don't want
Yeah.
to do that. I'm like, I know, but everybody's learning. Just let it go. And
It can you could it's like that you could technically get a foul if you're not safe.
we're not even calling fouls. That's the other thing. So these things just turn into like
Right. But
wrestling matches
eventually.
on the ground. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
So that's kind of like the
That's
tough
stupid.
balance, because it's like I want the kids to like have fun and not get frustrated with the rules. And things are already so loose. I'm like, no, I'm not imposing something to restrict the good kids more than the world that they're already in right now.
Good call, man.
And you know, like whatever. I think it's all right. There was like a part of me like where I was almost losing one of the games, and in the back, like in the deepest realm of my head, like I know winning doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter.
Right,
In
right, right,
fact,
right, right.
if I could go back, not that I did anything wrong, but I almost want them to lose so they listen to me at practice.
I know, yeah, you
You
need
know what I
that to
mean?
happen. You need
Yeah.
them to get crushed.
Yeah, like I want them to get crushed almost, but it's like practically impossible. And the kid was
It's so
bringing it. We were
funny.
down by 2, and it was like 10 seconds left, and he's just standing there dribbling. And I'm like, this is kind of awesome, because he's just gonna stand there and dribble this for like the last 10 seconds, and we'll end up winning. But that's how it played out. But then I was like, oh, should I feel guilty now? Because I don't really just want to. It shouldn't be about winning, but like somewhere in the deep realms of my head was like, you want to win. Like I heard the emperor, he was like, good, good. I think you're muted. I think you're muted, John. Yeah. Yeah. All right, brother. Night.